In this video, I'm going to share with you my experience after drinking ayahuasca 31 times in the Amazon jungle. Here's a disclaimer. I'm not an ayahuasca shaman, psychologist, hallucinogen expert, or a mental health expert. I've had 31 journeys over the course of 3 Peruvian Amazon trips in 2014 and 2015. All of these journeys were with indigenous Shipibo shamans. I've worked with about 7 or 8 different shamans over the course of those 31 journeys, and since those journeys, it's been 10 years, I have put an extraordinary amount of vision, attention, and presence on what ayahuasca did for me and the spaces of consciousness that I felt and the spiritual forces that I felt that land in ayahuasca ceremonies. I've also talked to romantic partners, friends, and countless clients who have had experiences with ayahuasca. Long story short, 2014 and 15, I dove deep with the medicine. I was having a spiritual and emotional breakdown, which began in October 2013, and I have many videos about that. But I decided to go all in with ayahuasca. This video is not going to be all about the story of ayahuasca and my journeys and my experiences, but it's going to be my summarizing points about what I feel about ayahuasca. And just a couple important things to give you context. All 31 ceremonies were extremely difficult for me, mentally, physically, and emotionally. Many people I have met do have, on average, more pleasant experiences with the medicine, but virtually everyone goes through difficult times. I also followed all dietary rules and all contraindications were avoided. I ate extremely clean and I was on a detox protocol the entire time in the jungle. These 31 ayahuasca ceremonies profoundly and permanently changed my psyche, understanding of reality, and also my connection to the earth. Some of these changes for the better, and some of it traumatic that has taken me years to heal from. I also had severe mercury poisoning during the time that I was drinking ayahuasca. This is no doubt a contributing factor to my experience, but I'm going to try my absolute best not to take that into account when I share my opinion on the medicine. Also, my last 10 ceremonies were done in an isolation dieta with no human contact in a very remote part of Peru called Cantamana. This is possibly the most intense way that a human being can possibly consume ayahuasca. Alone, isolated in a very deep rainforest with no human contact. I don't recommend it. So the first thing I want to say is a positive thing about the medicine. Ayahuasca has massive healing potential and can radically transform people's lives, and it transformed my life. It helped me understand toxicity in my body, my mind, my thoughts, my spirit. It helped me experience self-love. It helped me break through all of the conditioning that I was exposed to in my upbringing, and it cracked all the filters and preconceived notions that I had about life and existence. It helped me understand that I am not my mind, but that I have a mind. And overall, the medicine has had a positive impact on my life, but not without a significant downside and shadow. Like every facet of the human experience, I believe there is a shadow side to drinking ayahuasca. Now, here are my warnings to you before you drink ayahuasca. Okay, number 1, the actual substance of ayahuasca is pretty toxic to the body. Many hallucinogens are, and that is part of what creates an altered state. Through my years of being connected with regular ayahuasca drinkers, people who have drank hundreds, if not thousands of times, I have seen pretty regular complaints of leaky gut and liver issues from the actual physical harshness of drinking ayahuasca. Obviously, this is still healthier for you when you're purging all of that stuff and you're purging and you're throwing up and you're shitting a lot in the jungle. That's probably healthier than eating a standard American diet, but there is still just a pure physical toxicity to these medicines that has to be taken into account. Number 2, ayahuasca is cracking open humans to all that is, the dark and the light. And there's a lot of new age spirituality that preaches love and light all the time, and basically there's a naivety thinking that there's no darkness, but there are extreme levels of darkness and evil on this planet. I felt it, I've been around it, I've experienced it in my own body and in my own mind. So we don't need to have fear about this, but we don't need to be naive to it either. This filter of reality, this mind, okay, that we only get one of in this lifetime, is already being subjected to massive stress on a regular basis, let alone what the poor thing has to go through in an ayahuasca ceremony. So it takes pretty intense spiritual training and awareness that most typical Westerners do not have to dive into the deep end with a substance like this. And for most people, I believe it's too much too soon. I believe we need a strong tether to the light and a practice which grounds us during our normal waking days, yoga, qigong, meditation, deeply embedded into our systems before you go through a gauntlet like ayahuasca. Otherwise, it can be shattering and fracturing to the psyche, and it can be detrimental to an an already fractured, traumatized majority of people. As a general rule, if you get lost in darkness and lose your thread to the light during your sober waking days, I do believe you will get utterly lost at sea for many different durations and time periods within your ayahuasca ceremonies. Now, there's obviously positives that can come from that, but it's a difficult journey when you're lost in a hallucinogenic experience. I like to explain a lot of hallucinogens, especially ayahuasca, like the carnivorous island in the movie Life of Pi. In this island, it was paradise. It was perfect. Every day he was being given unlimited amounts of food. But at night, the island turned carnivorous and he could not stay there any longer. Whatever it gave to him during the day, it took away at night. And I really believe there's no such thing as a neurological free lunch. And I believe that what ayahuasca gives you, there's a cost associated with it. And I'll explain more as we move forward. Number 3, most ayahuasca centers are spiritual emergency rooms. First of all, if you're doing it in California, like a lot of people do with some gringo Western shaman, all the best to you, right? Good luck. In my opinion, it's a bit of the blind leading the blind. People can carry amazing light and amazing wisdom and be very beautiful healers, but don't kid yourself. This is an ancient tribal medicine. And the people who really know how to use this thing, in my opinion, are the people who come from that land. And those people can still be tainted and still fall into greed and manipulation and still have a dark side, but those are the people who have grown up with this medicine and been around it for hundreds and thousands of years. And so I would never drink ayahuasca in California with a Westerner. That's personally, I would never do that. To me, it's not the authentic experience. I'm sure people have healing. I'm sure there's a lot of good that can come from it, but in my opinion, it's not the authentic, true experience. Most ayahuasca centers are spiritual emergency rooms. Okay, on average, Westerners are very spiritually sick. They come to find these centers to find themselves, to rid themselves of ailments and illnesses and mental illnesses, right? Even if it's not a debilitating illness, just think about the low-level loneliness, anxiety, depression, and divorcement from nature that most Westerners carry. A lot of the ancient shamans and the shamans from these areas, they don't have the same problems, right? They haven't seen this level of divorcement from nature. So with each of their problems that each person is carrying, they're bringing all of that into the space of the ayahuasca ceremony. And this human being is plugged into forces, plugged into energies, plugged into all these problems, and they carry all of this with them in the ceremony. Imagine the complexity of like a microbiome with trillions of bacteria and viruses and cells, and then you can start to understand what someone is carrying spiritually. As above, so below. Whatever they're carrying, it exists around them, in them. They're bringing all of that to the room. You combine that with the fact that the medicine is cracking open our energy body, cracking open our astral and our etheric bodies, just ripping us open, okay? You're essentially drinking ayahuasca in a very intimate setting with all of these problems, all of these issues, all of these dark energies, dark spirits, demons, all the stuff that they're dealing with. And so yes, it's an amazing training, but it's very intimate to drink ayahuasca with other people. So who are you drinking with? Who is the shaman? You're cracking open your energy body. Who is the shaman? Does he have integrity? Do you actually know who he is? Who are these other people that you're opening your energy body around? Do you know how to protect yourself? Do you know how to draw boundaries? Do you know what's me and what's not me? Because if you don't, you're gonna get lost in a concoction and a soup of everyone's demons that are in that room. And that's what happened to me, and it was terrifying, and I didn't know how to navigate, and I wasn't taught there. They don't teach you these things, right? They don't help you prepare for it. So the more empathic you are, the more sensitive you are, I believe the more difficult time you will have in a large group. I was drinking ayahuasca sometimes with 30 people in the room, and that was very challenging, okay? But also, along the lines of what I said before, to put your energy body, your spiritual vehicle, your temple, with the one and only thing you got in this lifetime, to put it at the mercy of some people that you don't know, or maybe you just read a couple reviews on Google, is a really bad risk-reward ratio, because you can really damage your energy in these ceremonies. You can really, really create a level of trauma if you don't know what you're doing and you don't know how to navigate. On top of that, there's major purging, there's energy flying everywhere, there's anxiety, there's Western neuroses, mental loops. People don't know how to belly breathe and protect themselves. There's all Western facilitators who have been drinking ayahuasca for a few months and call themselves a facilitator. You're going into bed with this whole soup of issues is major risk. It's a shit show in my opinion. Now, can it be helpful? 100%. Can it be life-changing? 100%. There's just definitely an element to a shit show that you want to be present to. Next, I just want to talk about parasitic entities. A lot of times you can catch noxious energies in these ceremonies. Again, because you're cracking open your energy body, you don't know how to protect yourself. Your natural protection mechanisms dip when you're drinking ayahuasca. So you can start catching nasty little energies, almost like spiritual viruses, if you will, from other people, from the room, from the spaces and the forces that land in the room when everyone is high. Next, I just want to talk about toxins, okay? So in my opinion, everyone should do deep physical cleansing of the human body before you do hallucinogens. I did it the wrong way because when you have a dirty antenna from heavy metals, from parasites, from chemicals, you're not receiving consciousness in a clear way. Your signal is morphed, your signal is distorted. So when you drink ayahuasca with a distorted signal, you're not going to know what's the ayahuasca and what's the devil. To be honest with you, it's hard to discern what spiritual forces are teaching you versus which are manipulating you, which are trying to make you manic and high, which are trying to show you the truth. You're presented with all of these forces. These beings are dancing around you and it's saying, come with me, come this way, come with me. No, I'm the truth. No, you'll be really healthy and happy if you come this way. You don't know the truth when you have a toxic body and a toxic mind. So I was left with all of these distortions about the universe, distortions about God that I had to unravel for years. I realized that I was not connecting to pure God. There's tons of manipulative forces on the spiritual planes. Just think about how many people get manipulated by a sexy woman. If you're a guy and you get manipulated by a sexy woman who mistreats you, who cuts you off, or who ghosts you, or does this, and you keep going back for more, which happens to probably 75% of people watching this video, man or woman, if you get seduced and tricked by that, you will definitely get seduced and tricked by the spiritual world because it's way more confusing and complex and it knows your weaknesses. To find your integrity and your truth and your humble truth, it can be very difficult when you have a toxic mind, toxic body, you're with all these random people, cracking open your energy body and connecting to a level of forces that you have no experience or context for. Okay, in my opinion, all of that is not without risk, something to consider. So drinking ayahuasca without first going through an intense detox is kind of like trying to ride your bike in the sand, okay? Or like watching an antenna TV with aluminum foil covering the antenna. Heavy metals, parasites, viruses, plastics, chemicals, they all affect your vibrational frequency. You got to detox your body if you want to have a pure experience with the medicine. Lastly, I just want to say that having an experience of seeing Jesus, angels, or lights and colors does not fundamentally change anything about our physical or emotional well-being. I remember the day after in ceremonies, we would have a talk and 30 people would be around the room talking and it would just be like, I connected to Jesus and I saw how I am the one of the ancient prophecy and I am here to heal the planet and I am here for all of the God and the wisdom and the angels and this and that. And in the moment, if I'm honest, I was like kind of seduced by it. And I was like, wow, that's really interesting. And wow, this person is going to be changed forever. But as I've gotten more grounded in my business, my life, with a wife, with a family, my health, and started to see where the world is going and what it takes to truly be a grounded human being, you can have these revelations, but you have to have reason too. Revelations come in and then it takes days or weeks for reason to land with that revelation and merge with that revelation and ground it in. Because the revelations itself do nothing. They do nothing for you. You have to ground it in and integrate it into your daily life, and your willpower has to get on board for the revelation, okay? Because you have to make it happen. It's not just something that happens to you and you're changed forever. You have to make your life happen. Ecstasy, rainbows, unicorns, it's all seductive, it's all fine and dandy, it's great, whatever, but I've never seen it have tangible, lasting effect on my consciousness. It eventually becomes like a dream. Oh, I remember that dream I had with Jesus. Okay, great. Has it changed who you are today and the decisions you're making today, right now, and right now, and right now, every moment of the day? The changes happen through sharpening your sword, forging your will, and building your own thread to God day after day with will and daily practice. That is how you change a life. The visions can crack us open, they can let us see things from a different angle, but where do you go and what do you do when the high is gone? That question is more important than seeing Jesus or seeing King Otto putting a crown on your head and telling you that you're special. Because I did have someone in my ayahuasca center say, King Otto put a crown on my head and told me I was special. It's like, all right, who knows where that dude is right now, right? But I guarantee you, if he's focused on hallucinogens, he's not in engaging his will on a daily basis to the degree that I believe will truly change a life. So here's my conclusion, all right? The absolute purest form of this sacred tool and technology is hardly to be found. It is a sacred medicine, a powerful medicine, a life-changing medicine in the purest form, but humans have tainted it. The spaces associated with ayahuasca have been changed and morphed, and you have capitalistic greed and different forces that have infiltrated that space. Maybe it exists in its purest form somewhere deep in the Amazon still, and I'm sure it's a beautiful experience. If you watch the movie, The Lost Children, the children in Colombia who were lost, you'll find that it took them weeks of these tribal primal people who live in the jungle their whole life. It took them weeks of not being able to find these children to finally resort to ayahuasca, what they called yahe. And they only did it at the very, very end, right before they were about to give up on these children, because they knew, you could feel that they knew that yahe is not something to mess with. Take yahe right in the very beginning, ayahuasca, in the very beginning to try and find the children. You do everything you can first, and then and only then can you take yahe to help out here. You could feel they knew the power of the medicine. They knew the shadow. They knew the cost. They knew what they were dancing with when they drank the medicine. Yes, it ended up helping them find the children. It was life-changing. It was a game-changing. It was amazing. But it was a tool that they used in a set and setting, in one moment in time, and even they said they only drink it once a year or less. So it's a tool, it's a technology, it's not a spiritual path in and of itself. There are, of course, people and cases where ayahuasca provides life-changing therapeutic benefit. I'm happy for these people, of course. I just want people to heal. I just want people to have their truth. It's really hard to tell which individuals it'll help, which it'll harm. I'm not saying ayahuasca is good or bad. It's way too complex for that. It has massive potential, but carries a whole host of shadow downsides, okay? There's no such thing as a neurological free lunch, and I've seen a lot of dark stuff with ayahuasca. I have not drank ayahuasca in 10 years. My life, peace, and my health has come from the slow marathon approaches that require my daily incarnation of my will, meditation, detox, cleansing, shadow work, breath techniques, self-love. I believe once you drink ayahuasca, you can never really undo it, okay? So be careful, be mindful, pay attention to your set and setting. If you still feel strongly to do it after this, go do it. Listen to the call. Again, I haven't drank ayahuasca in 10 years, and I never will again. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.